What's up? Welcome to the Existential Stoic podcast. If you're like us, you might have a hard time resting sometimes. Heck, you might think you have so much to do, you don't even have time to take a break or to rest. Well, you're probably wrong. And today you're in luck because we're going to talk about how to rest in this quick fix. I'm Danny from Everybody. Randy, what's up, Randy?
Here, Danny.
So, Randy, have you ever had, trouble resting?
Man, this week hit me hard. I think I was a little bit sick. I was exhausted, had a whole bunch of stuff to do. I knew I was exhausted, and I tried to rest and I just couldn't. And it was just a mess.
Yeah,
So
what's
since we
funny?
can't do it, we're going to tell other people how to do
Exactly.
it. That makes sense, right?
I feel like I was pretty successful at it like part of the week last week when I was having a bad week as well. But this is what happens, right? You have bad weeks, and it's at least in my experience, like it's hard to rest because you feel like you have so much to do, so you're stressed about it. But then on the other hand, when I finally like just give in and rest, I feel so much better. And it's like I wish I would just take my own damn advice earlier, every time. But
Just give up.
just give up.
Throw in the towel already.
Just pull the blankets up and quit. You know?
Yeah.
All right. So we each have three tips for you today for how to rest. I'm going to start. My first one is practice identifying your feelings or acknowledging them, however you want to phrase it. This actually I have found to be I've never been good with my feelings at all in my whole life. And like I think this has been one of the things that has helped me the most in improving my life and like doing better in general, getting over depression and stuff, was just starting to be aware of actually what I was feeling when I was feeling it. Because I noticed like in the past, if I wasn't aware, then my imagination would get crazy. I, make things way worse than they were. I would, or I'd be like, immobile doing nothing for way longer. Now I notice like I seem to take care of things a lot faster. It's a lot healthier. So I think that's like the first start is to like actually acknowledge how you're feeling.
Yeah, that's a great one. Like my whole thing this past week compounded because I knew what was going on. I knew I was sick and I had stuff that I had to do because the whole world depends on me. And so I just kept my head down, got through it, and just was a whole mess by the end of it.
And it makes you, when you think that way too, though, it makes you like totally ignore what you're actually feeling, what your body's telling you too. It's really funny,
Hmm.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. No more sentiments.
Yes. Yeah. So my first one for how to rest is hit the wall. Eventually you're just gonna burn yourself out. I did that eventually after like a whole week of fighting it. I last night I was just on tilt and like I just basically hit the wall, was a wreck, like went to sleep totally sober, but felt like I was completely drunk. Woke up
Yeah.
this morning being like, who the heck was that? Like crazy.
That's a good one too, though, because we've all had those times, and I think it is true. Like if you're not going to do it yourself, you're going to hit that wall. Like your body's going to tell you that it's just too much. I remember, I remember when I started my doctor, I was teaching and all, and there was so much going on in my life as well. Like I literally I ended up in the hospital one time because I like passed out, and like if I had been paying attention and like not thought that everything was the end of the world, if I didn't do it, I probably would have been fine. But like instead, I pushed way too hard, and that's what happened. I hit that wall, and that was a good reminder that I need to take a break.
Yeah.
But instead of having those heart attacks or passing out or whatever it might be, it's probably better to take care of it beforehand.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one. My second one is remember, and this is really hard, you're not that important, and nothing you do is that important. I know, like we all want to think that, and it's so funny because like I've been this way. I know everybody I know has been this way. Where like, you're like I can't hang out. I got too much to do. I can't do that. This is too important. It's like, is it really though? Like, ask yourself, is it really? Is anything like, are you the president? Are those the codes to the nuclear weapons? And like, you have to do it now? No, like and even in that case, I don't even know how important that is to do it that second.
Dude, and like the world went on perfectly fine before I was here, and it's gonna
Yeah,
keep doing just fine when I'm gone. But like
no problem.
somehow I think that everything depends on my input and whatever. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's funny too? Believing too, like if I don't do it today, like I'm not going to get there ever. And it's like, well, that's not true either. Like none of it is.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where actually resting, you might get it done faster.
Dude,
It's like you ever hear about that story about the guy who wanted to study kung fu, and so he asked the kung fu master, he's like, "How long does it take to be a kung fu master?" And the guy says, 10 years. And the guy's like, But what happens if I study really, really hard and just give it my all and like don't stop and do it like every day? And he's like, okay, 20 years.
Okay, if that's the case. Oh, dude.
That's
It's so
good.
funny though, because it's so true. That happens, it's just it's gonna take its time. You can't rush it.
Hmm.
And if you rush it, it is worse. Dude, there's been so many times where like I've been so stressed out about stuff, trying to figure out a problem. And then when I finally take a break, I go back, I do it in like 20 minutes.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah,
something
I
you've been
know
working on for days.
that's the
Yeah.
damnedest thing. Yeah. So my second one for how to rest is listen to timeless wisdom. This got me out of a bind recently, this past week when I was dealing with it, was I was just like all up in my head and just thinking about worst case scenarios and everything like that. Whereas once I popped in how to stop worrying and start living, all of a sudden the world opened up and I remembered that, to have a little perspective. But there's a whole bunch of books like that, like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Tao Te Ching, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, The Science of Getting Rich, like all these different things
Yeah.
that great books out there, great resources, timeless wisdom, the Bible, some people might even say. Yeah.
You know what's funny too?
Mm.
Marcus Aurelius' Meditations was his diaries. Like he was writing that for himself. And I think, a lot of those great thinkers were also they were writing it for themselves because like it's a really good point that like we know most of us know all this stuff, but when we're in the thick of it, we forget it. So going back to those like timeless wisdom is really good because it reminds you that like, oh right, like that is true. I should just calm down. I already knew that, but like, thanks for reminding me because a reminder is super helpful sometimes. We've both dealt with this so many times. Like, you know all these things, you know how to handle things, but then when you're in it, it's all gone. So you don't know
Mm-hmm.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy that like we have parts of our brain that we just can't access when we're all stressed out and
Yeah.
messed up.
It's
They're
like
like
almost
right
like you
there,
shut,
and
yeah.
it's probably like right next to where you're processing, but it's just not accessible.
Yeah, it's almost like we like shut it, block it out or something. Like you're a panic or you're mad, whatever, like just like, yeah, it's really
Mm.
weird. All right, my last one for how to rest is hobbies and actually doing them. Like when we read, I think it was The Artist's Way, which was a great book. One of the things I really liked that she mentioned in that was like setting up, she called it like an artist date, but it's like literally scheduling time for yourself, by yourself to go do your hobby. And I really like that because like it's such a good way to incorporate it into your week to actually have it like, because at least I know for me, like if I schedule something, it's much easier to do it. And like, we all have things we enjoy that just take our minds out of the world and give us perspective. And we have to do them for them to be beneficial. So like actually doing that is such a healthy thing that helps you rest.
Yeah, that's a great one. And it's so difficult because like, hobbies almost by definition don't make you money. They don't they don't
Yeah,
make you win in like the traditional social media type sense of everything. You can't brag to people about your hobbies. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's a tough one, but it's definitely recharging to have them and to do them.
I hate how our constructs have so messed up things in how we think about the world. Really,
Dude, it's
like,
a mess.
yeah,
It's a
nobody wins.
freaking mess. No, it's a freaking mess. Yeah. So, anyways, on to my last one before I just get really depressed about the future of the world. Uh, so, the last one for how to rest is live in day tight compartments. Live one day at a time. Just for today, you can do anything. And, oftentimes I get into these ruts because I'm trying to solve all my life's problems today and I'm trying to anticipate every problem that happens and take care of every problem that happens and set myself up for my whole entire life today. And it's just,
Yeah.
all I got to do today is make it until I go to bed. That's pretty easy.
You know what's it is, right? You know what's funny too? It's like I am always my happiest, feel my best when I'm living day to day in the moment. And whenever I do feel like last week when I had a bad week, the first thing I seem to do is project into the future immediately. Oh, if I don't do this, this isn't gonna happen now, blah 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 blah. And it's like, but when I'm feeling good and doing, I don't think that way. And you're totally right. Like day to day, it's like if you have to be present living now, otherwise you are gonna be stuck in the future or the past, and that's gonna cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you have it how to rest. Hopefully, this helps you guys out. We'll be back later this week with a full-length episode. Please check us out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave a review if you can. It helps us out a lot. We also would like your insight. We want to put together something that will help you guys out. But first, we need some of your input. So there's a link in the show notes or in the description. Please check it out. Give us your input. That would be great. And you'll get the thing for free when we make it. But until next time, later, Andy.
Later, Danny.